Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Immigration Lawyers Podcast, episode 232, I believe it is. I kind of lose count after a couple hundred, but I want to thank you for joining us. We have a wonderful guest today. Sarah Hall, an associate at Fragment here in Southern California, is going to talk about business immigration and working at a big firm and her background, everything. We're looking forward to that. Definitely check out the article she contributed to the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine, issue 3, I believe, about O-1s for business people and executives. If you haven't already, check out just this magazine, the new one that came out, issue 4, at immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com/magazine. Chock full of information to help your practice, whether you're at it for 6 months or 6 years or 60 years. There's so much different piece of information in this magazine that's going to change your firm. You're going to make money reading this kind of stuff, frankly, because it's going to open up your perspective, and your handling of cases are going to get better. I want to thank the sponsor who sponsors the magazine and the podcast as well, DocWise.com, your all-in-one form software management and just growing platform that's just eating every topic up when it comes to practice management in the immigration field. Definitely check it out. You get additional 10% off your annual plan by going to DocWise.com/immigration-lawyers-toolbox. So that's gonna be a real neat thing that can help you out. And then having said that, again, check out the magazine. And well, thank you, Sarah, for coming today. Sarah's contribution is really nice. It's a great article. Sarah, good to meet you.
Great to meet you. Thank you for having me.
You got it. So let's kind of back it up for people to know, who you are, where you come from. Where did you grow up and how did you become an immigration lawyer?
I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, which is very far away from Southern California. But how I became an immigration attorney actually goes back a generation. My mother is Iranian. She was born in Tehran and came to the US in 1976 right before the Iranian Revolution. So she came when she was 16 years old, and she was one of the first ones in her family to come over. So she kind of ended up becoming like our family immigration point of contact, just because she was the one who kind of understood the process the best. So as a kid, when I was 7 years old, she finally became a US citizen. And that was just like a really monumental part of my life. So when I got to law school, I knew that was something that was really interesting to me. So when I graduated from law school,
let me pause it there because I'm Iranian too. So I was first of all, I didn't assume you're Iranian at all, which is funny. People always look at everybody and judge whether they're Iranian. A lot of foreign people do this kind of stuff, and I would never assume. Maybe in person, I would have noticed. So I'm surprised. Like, my parents went to immigration thing too, and had no idea about any of it. So I became an immigration attorney and started connecting the dots. But in your family household, you remember that all that and how it happened?
Yeah. So my mom came over on an F1 visa. And then eventually when she graduated from college, she applied for asylum because she became a Christian in the US, and she was afraid of religious persecution if she were to go back. Yeah. I didn't really understand all the aspects of this until I became an attorney and kind of knew what to ask her about. But she told me that her asylum application was actually denied because she did not have a certificate showing that she was baptized. So she ended up going through removal proceedings and then eventually went through the family-based process through her mother, who had a green card. So that's kind of her story.
Yeah, well, that's stressful. Yeah, does have to go through the removal and stuff like that. So okay, real cool. Okay, so sorry, let's jump ahead. You went to college, yeah.
No worries. Yeah, so I graduated from law school. I went to University of Wisconsin. And I was just kind of looking for different job opportunities. I knew that I wanted to do immigration, but to be honest, our school didn't really offer immigration courses. So I didn't know really anything about business immigration. So I ended up getting my first job out of law school working at a small business immigration firm in LA that specialized in NIW applications. And kind of through that job, I realized I actually do really like being an immigration attorney. And I really like the NIW writing intensive, kind of persuasive green card O-1 application. So I worked there for a couple of months, but I was really limited to doing NIWs. And I knew that I wanted to expand my knowledge because there was just this whole world of business immigration out there that I knew that it existed, but I didn't directly touch it. So I went on Google and I looked up biggest immigration firm in the world and Fragment popped up. So I actually cold emailed my resume to the partners in LA and Irvine, and that's how I ended up here.
That's awesome. Now, Um, what brought you to LA? That's a big move. Did you just find a job and come here? You just came and then, or how did that all happen?
Yeah, it was a little random. I got a job offer, and I didn't really know anybody here. I got the job offer on a Monday and I moved here by Friday of that week. So a little adventurous, but I was eager to start working.
Very neat. Usually, I mean, we have a lot of people in LA who are actors and stuff who do a trip like that. But for a lawyer to, hey, it's more security, I guess. You have a law job at least, as opposed to
Yeah.
something like that. Okay, so you started your Fragment, and how's that being a new associate in that type of firm? I guess the dynamics of working there is kind of completely different from most people who are a small or mid-sized firm because it's just so large and the volume probably handles really large.
Yes, it was very interesting. So there's a huge learning curve. I think every immigration attorney who starts out knows that there's just so
Yeah.
much to learn. But the nice thing about Fragment is there are a lot of training courses available. So when you start off the bat, you can go through training videos. It's a huge firm. So there's a lot of samples for you to refer to and a lot of resources that you can look at. But really, I just learned by doing case processing. So I started out by processing, I do a lot of L1s and TNs and H1Bs. And then I also took on, we have an internal writing team within our office that handles all of our clients' O-1s, EB1As, NIWs. So I kind of took on that dual role of doing NIV work and then also the writing cases.
The writing is so much that like it's one of those things where, and I try not to handle these take on these cases because like every time I get a new writing case, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so much work and thought. And when I'm done with it, I'm really happy I did it. But it's just one of those things when I do it, I'm like, oh, but I'm a couple of years ahead of you in your career, so maybe you gotta reach the point where you have to write stuff like, oh my god, I can't write anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is with Fragment, I was given some writers who are amazing to work with. So they helped me a lot in terms of drafting recommendation letters, drafting the support letters. So I have great resources to help me, but the writing certainly, it's very overwhelming, especially when we get a lot of these complex science-based
Yeah.
cases. Like I write about semiconductors all the time and I did not know what a semiconductor was before starting at Fragment, but you kind of just like learn to go with the flow and writing these technical cases.
And that's one of the beautiful parts of business immigration and stuff like that is you become expert in random topics that you don't know. Like I know everything about slot machines and how the statistical mechanisms works out a client who was make slot machines. And it's like I got all these books about how like the statistics work and payout rates and all this kind of stuff, how it's designed. So it's like I never thought I'd know this field so well. There's so many different things about like swimming. I know like all the I did EB1A for a swimmer. I know every single competition for swimmers, different types of swimming competitions, all this stuff. So it's really cool. Like you could be an immigration attorney and you know all sorts of different things. It's not really one thing. What is there a favorite thing that you learned or a field that you got really interested in?
I really am interested in like movies and the fashion type cases because it's, I think, probably what I understand the most or its closest connection to my life. So, living in Southern California, a lot of our clients are in the animation industry or in fashion and design. So it's really fun for me to put together like O-1s for movies that are going to come out soon that you can go into the theater and see. It's really rewarding to put together these visas or green cards, and then you can go watch the movie that you helped get
Yeah,
work
you're part of it.
authorization for later. Yeah.
You see your work in the news and on billboards and stuff. That's really cool thing about employment.
Yeah.
The other sides as well, but yeah, I always like I used to go to Las Vegas, and like I had a client who was on a billboard. I was like, oh wow, like that's my client. I help her get the visa, be able to get that. And then I had another client who got married at a hotel at the Paris Hotel, and they had their picture when you come in as them getting engaged. So it's like, and then there was some other, I had an EB5 client at a hotel there that the hotel went out of business or something like that. But it was like all around. It was like, oh, my work is here. So it's, and I'm sure it's more massive for you. You probably see it all over the place.
Yeah, it's very rewarding. And I also just kind of going back to like learning about the tons of different industries that we work with. I like business immigration in the sense that you're never stuck working on one type of case.
Yeah.
So it really keeps it interesting. The regulations are always changing, but then also the case types that come to us, the facts are always different. So you're never bored.
Real cool. So, what are some trends you're seeing? Is there anything that's on your mind? And knowing you, cool that you're seeing with these kind of cases, any particular visa category?
Yeah, so for O-1 specifically, towards the end of 2021 and early 2022, we were filing several O-1s that were routed towards the Vermont Service Center, specifically within their premium processing unit. And we were receiving really nasty RFEs from this Vermont Service Center with, interestingly, no officer number at the bottom of the RFE. They were kind of doing it anonymously. But these RFEs were just asking for stuff that has never been asked for before. So AILA actually released a statement to USCIS, basically explaining the evidentiary standard that you're asking us to show is above the preponderance of the evidence criteria that we are normally supposed to present in these RFEs or our initial filing. So as an example, I filed an O-1A for somebody who had 1,800 citations and over 100 publications. She got an RFE, but specifically within the RFE, they didn't even grant her the citations criteria, and she had over 1,800. And they were saying because she had co-authored many of her publications, there's no way to really show that the citations to her work were directly about her because she had co-authors. So we ended up in that RFE response, kind of having her summarize some of the top cited works that she had, and talk about her individual role in those publications. And then we also got letters from people who had cited her work, kind of talking about why it was important. And in the end, all of those RFEs did end up getting approved. So I don't know if USCIS kind of changing the way that they adjudicate these at the Vermont Service Center after AILA issued that statement, but for a period of time, it was a little troubling.
And it created like tens of hours of work on your that you didn't expect, and like so
Yeah.
that's the thing about these. When you get these, like you could have an open and shut case, and then you get these RFEs, and it's like I didn't expect all this work, and then it's like you feel bad even like charging client if that's the model the contract was written out. But at the same time you have all this other work you have to do too. So it's just so annoying how they do that when they're inconsistent in the adjudications. And O's in particular are a field I haven't touched because it could be a super amount of work for a temporary non-immigrant visa. EB-1A, at least the green card, and it's like something. But to do all this work and then have to renew it and always be on pins and needles, it's obnoxious sometimes how they handle that visa category.
I also felt bad because during my eval call with this foreign national, I was like, you have an amazing case. You have over 1,800 citations. Like, I don't think you'll get an RFE. RFEs and O-1s are rare to begin with. And then she ended up getting one, and I was like, I'm so sorry. We can't predict, but she ended up getting approved. It was just extra hoops to jump through.
I think the client thinks you did something wrong. Because like so many clients think, oh, it's the U.S. government. Of course they're going to be by the book and they have standards or something. It's like, no, this is immigration. Anything goes.
Yeah.
So cool. So in the article you did was about O's. It's good to have that experience. What other kind of subjects are there anything in particular that you like doing and that you've done recently?
Yeah, I started doing E2s, which are a whole other really interesting type of visa work. I have learned a lot about the way that corporations are set up, different investment amounts. So that's something that my team started doing recently. We also do a lot of EB-1A. So commonly people will go from the O-1 to an EB-1A as like a green card pathway. So that's something that I work on a lot as well. But really, the O-1s, E2s, NIW, EB-1A is kind of the meat of what I do on a daily basis.
Yeah, E2s are great, a lot of fun. How have are you doing a lot of change of status or dealing with embassy work, or which one do you've been filing?
Usually new E2, so it's the company registration, and then the first investor. So we're going directly to the consulate.
Interesting. Any particular embassies you're working for, and how long are they taking to schedule the interview?
I actually just had a call with somebody right before this to prepare them for an interview in Panama.
Mhm.
And that interview took about 6 months to occur after we submitted the
Wow.
materials. I think I put one together in London, and that wait time's around 3 to 4 months. So they're not too long. Canada right now, though, is taking over a year to schedule the
Oh my
E2
God.
appointments, which is at that point, like, go for the EB5, just go for
Yeah.
the big prize.
It's so hard because you put this investment at risk and money just sitting there, and like that's these things. I mean, before pandemic, it would be like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or something like that. But it's out of control, these wait times. Even if it is a couple months, it's better than how it's been the last 2 years. But and the thing about E2s is, like, you never know. The consular officer could issue their version of RFE or have problems with random stuff, and client's gonna have a heart attack. They're worrying about it. But it's like walking on pins and needles when you're doing immigration. It's like you're doing surgery, you don't know how it's going to come out. Even if it's like a simple surgery, you never know what you're going to get.
And it's funny because I graduated from law school in 2018. So during the Trump administration, and it's funny to hear immigration attorneys talk about what it was like before the land of like unknowns. And I'm like, I don't know. To me, this seems all normal, but I don't know
Yeah.
what's normal. So hopefully things kind of stabilize, but it is very much pins and needles.
Yeah, yeah, that's it's an interesting perspective to have, because even before there was some ridiculous stuff, but Trump, like, was so overwhelmingly every day something bad happening. But who knows? He might come back the way things are looking. I don't know. So we gotta brace ourselves. So many lawyers are probably gonna quit law if Trump got reelected. But it's good that you start at a tough place, so your pain threshold is much higher than those who have to learn it. So
That's a good point.
what is like life look for you right now? I mean, obviously, I mean, you're probably gonna ride the ladder up at Fragment as associate. What are your plans in the upcoming year? What I know Mitch is cool, because last time I talked with him, he said he talks with his associates to have game plans on what to do. It's a really neat thing, and I'm hiring now and I'm growing my firm. It's something I definitely talk to my associate and other people I work with me. It's like, what do you want to do next year? Where do you want to be? So it's not just a day by day thing. To the extent you could talk about, what are your plans look like?
Yeah, so of course, staying at Fragaman, I've learned a lot since I came here. So I just want to continue learning different case types, learning perm, learning more about adjustment of status.
Mhm.
Mitch is correct. He is great in that he will sit you down and have a conversation about where you want to go, what your goals are professionally. So I actually had that with him this week, along with the rest of the partners in my office, which is a really nice thing, because I know at big law firms, everyone's really busy, but they really do try to take the time to um, develop you professionally. So in the coming year, it's my goal to start managing more corporate clients, and then of course continue doing E2s, and then expanding to other green card types like perm.
Now it's kind of inside baseball, but how many partners are there in the local office here in Southern California?
So we have 3 different offices in Southern California. There's LA, Irvine, and San Diego. I work in the Irvine office. Our office is considered, I think, like small to medium in terms of Fragaman. So we have 3 partners. I think, don't quote me on this, maybe 12 associate attorneys, and then around 80 staff in total.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thought, because when you go on their website, and part of the immigration lawyers toolbox, I keep track of how many lawyers work out for. I was thought there's like 300 partners in Southern California. I'm like, whoa, that's like, how do you run so many partners? But I didn't realize those. It's kind of like a mid-size for immigration. It's like a small firm kind of thing. It's got that feel to it then.
Yeah, it's really nice because we get to practice law under the big name of Fragaman. But within our office, it does feel like a smaller law firm. So I think a lot of our clients come to us and they're like, well, I don't think you can necessarily help us because you guys are a huge firm. But actually, a lot of our clients within our Irvine office are on the smaller side. We do a lot of startups, a lot of entrepreneurs. And then, of course, we do have our large clients too that have been with
Oh,
us for a while.
well, cool. Thank you so much for coming on the show. If you want to reach out to you, what's the best way to connect?
Yes, the best way to connect is either on LinkedIn. My name is Sarah Hall. You can find me by looking up Sarah Hall Fragaman, or my email address is shall, HALL, @fragaman.com.
And wonderful. And your article that you co-authored with Mitch Wexler, who's also a partner at the Southern California branch, I guess, is found in Immigration Lawyers Toolbox issue number 3. It's really good if you want to get into that corporate executive kind of O1 category. So just check that out. Everyone who's watching or listening at immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com/magazine. Sarah, stay on the line, but thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.